You're live.
Thank you, Kayla. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Avening Hall, annual general meeting. And I'm sorry, I am just going to look up the land acknowledgement because it's not on the agenda, and I just want to make sure that it gets read. Sorry, bear with me for one moment. Shoot. Sorry, just trying to find the agenda from last month so I can read the land acknowledgement. I think I have it here. Yes, we'll begin with the land acknowledgement. We are meeting here today on the traditional territory of the Teonantate, the Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, which is now the home of diverse First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people. We acknowledge the Indigenous peoples who cared for Turtle Island from before the arrival of settler peoples to this day. We also acknowledge that Clearview Township is situated on land covered by Treaty 18 with the Anishinaabe. We are committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation, truth, and respect. Great. And now we will move to the approval of the agenda. So the agenda has been sent out for the AGM. Basically, for those who have had a chance to read it, maybe just give you a second. But if there are any, I need a mover and a seconder, then we can enter into discussion. Karen and Melanie, great. Is there anything that people feel needs to be added to the agenda or any amendments that need to be made at this time? Hearing none, we'll call a question. All in favor of the agenda, you can either raise your hand or indicate with the emoticons. Seeing everyone's raised their hand, we'll consider those carried unanimously. Disclosure of disqualifying interest and general nature thereof. Is there anyone who needs to disclose a disqualifying interest for this meeting? Seeing none, we'll move on in the agenda to the approval of previous minutes. Be it resolved that the Evening Hall hereby approve the minutes dated March 17th as presented. Those were sent around by Kayla. Are there any notes to the, sorry, we got a mover and a seconder for the minutes first. Then we'll enter into debate. Tina and Melanie, thank you. Any problems with the minutes from March the 17th? Hearing none, we'll move to the vote. Approval of the minutes. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Unanimous. And business arising from minutes. AODA update. I'm trying to click on the link here to go to that report. It's not letting me. Why is that not letting me? It's not letting me go to my.
Might have to download it before it'll let you click through. So just trying to do it through your browser. I don't know.
Doesn't that figure? There we go. Thank you, Karen. Still not. Sorry.
So I can share my screen.
Thanks.
it's the AODA. If you're clicking on the first, the AODA renovations update.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. The one that's attached to the agenda is the update number 5. And I have update 6, which I'm going to share now if I can
Great.
make this stupid thing. Can you see this?
Yes. Thank you.
That's better.
So yeah, and maybe Councillor Lamers, you can help me if there's anything, any comments from the council table on this. Basically, my understanding is that the MOUs and the fundraising commitment, there hasn't been a hard and fast percentage set onto fundraising at this point. The fundraising commitment by halls, the amount of 10% has been kind of talked about. I understand more recently, but nothing's been confirmed. Is that accurate?
Yeah, nothing's been confirmed. We're going to renovate all the halls. We have approval for that, and then whenever the PCR groups and the hall boards get together and work on their MOUs, that's when basically you will decide what you're going to contribute. But the main feature for the halls is any fundraising and any support that the hall has will mainly go to operations of the halls.
Perfect.
All capital will be covered by the township until the MOUs are finalized. That's
fantastic. Okay, perfect. I think that's really good news for our fundraising committee as well. I know they've, we have a team that's pretty eager to get going. So that'll be great to get those sorts of things settled. Yeah, Lori.
I could maybe not be understanding correctly. So we're going to go ahead not knowing how much we have to fundraise or pay. Is that what that is?
It's still to be completely formally decided, if I'm understanding correctly. They haven't made that decision yet at the council table, but the commitment is to go with to do the project, to renovate the halls, and basically the township will pay for the renovations, and the hall boards will pay for the extras, from what I understand from Councillor Lamer's comment. Do you want to elaborate?
Yeah, operations. The main project for the halls is to raise monies to keep the halls operational from day to day. If there's extras, whenever you meet with the PCR group, that's when each hall is going to be dealt with individually, what they think they can contribute to the hall renovations.
Sounds great. I wouldn't build a house with this policy. I'm going to put it out there. I'm just nervous as to how much we're going to have to pay in the long run, especially when we don't know what that's going to be going into renovations already being completed.
Well, the commitment of the halls is to raise money for the operations of the halls. That's their main priority. Day-to-day business of the halls, not the renovations.
So that's sort of status quo then at this point? That is how we're operating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can you define, you're referencing a PCR or what was the acronym?
Recreation.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. The hall chairs are going to meet with the rec department and work out the MOUs. on all the finals.
Yeah.
Now you've went through that a couple times, haven't you? With setting up the MOUs for the Avening Hall.
The last time we did an MOU, it was with all hall boards and the township. I don't think there was a. I'm trying to remember who was I guess it would have been with Shane Stagg at that time, who might have been the only member of the Parks and Culture and Recreation Department before there probably even was the culture and recreation side of it. Might have just been the parks. It's been a little while. And I think that was referenced in the need to update the memorandum of understandings, so that there was kind of a memorandum of understanding for each hall as an entity rather than as a group. It's been, I think it's been more than 10 years. I would say probably early 2000s, or early 2010s, that last decade. Yeah.
Yeah. So these really need to be updated then.
Yeah. So as you can see on the screen, if there's no more questions on that or points of clarification on that.
Sorry, I just jumped to resolution 5, which outlines the more specific MOU that they're talking about as it relates to construction.
Thank you.
I believe the MOU that you're talking about with the hall boards and the township and kind of which each provides is going to become more specific to each hall board, and we're going to do evenings and more outlined as to what your role would be, what the township's role would be, what assistance you would receive back and forth that way. That'll likely be done after the construction phase so that it's more directed to your hall and what you guys offer, I guess. I don't know if that's necessarily going to change, but does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So basically you're going to come out with 2 MOUs, one to deal with the construction phase and then one moving forward. As you said, Bill, the last one's like 10, 11 years old. Needs updating.
Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Please.
Okay, I might be a little behind, but what's an MOU?
Sorry, it's the memorandum of understanding. It's basically the agreement between the hall board and the township, stating, could state operating procedures. It's just there's no real boundaries on what can be in a memorandum of understanding. I mean, for this case, it's how are we operating as a board? What are our expectations? That sort of thing. Just written down. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
No trouble. Okay, so moving on. I think if you want to scroll down, please, Kayla, to the second, third. So it gets into a little bit more of maybe the questions, like the question Lori had there, project financing, basically how that's going to be financed, the project procurement really, I mean, I don't think that's necessarily that's more for the township and certainly the staff. But essentially the process will be, or the project will be tendered. It's just going to be managed centrally by the township. Some of the stuff that is, I think, a little bit more, we will want to know is under number 4. Avening Hall and Sunnydale have been approved for renovation this year. I certainly don't have a schedule yet as to when that's going to go. My sense is probably in the later summer at this point. Whether that means August or September, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe again, Councillor Lamers, if you have any, or Kayla, if you have any further on that.
Until the draft plans are completed and brought to council, to vote on and then put out for tenders,
Yeah.
it's going to be early fall.
Yeah. Okay. Construction guidelines. Basically, just directing. That's the MOU that Kayla and John were talking about there, and how that's gonna work during the project. So that was
Yeah.
discussed.
The last we talked to Terry, the start to finish, they were going to give them 6 months. So it's going to be most of, if they start in the fall, it's going to be most of the winter.
Right. Okay. And I haven't seen the schedule yet for a meeting, yeah, really. I got an initial email from Terry Vachon from the township, but it pretty much just outlined this information. So this is where we are. Yeah, right now. Thank you, Kayla.
So it's good to see that we're going ahead and got 2 on the books for this year to get this finally starting to roll.
Yeah. All right. What was my PDF really isn't working. What's the PCR presentation? I guess that's that, right? The presentation to council was just the going through
It's
that.
yeah, it's the full presentation, Bill. If you want to review that when your PDF
Yeah.
is working, it's the complete package that was presented to council.
I mean, do we feel like we want to go through that? It's probably, we had Terry on a little while ago and he went through a bunch of those things. How do people feel about it?
That's the same thing.
Yeah.
What Terry went steps 1 to 6 or 1 to 5.
The different options and everything.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like, yeah, I mean, unless anybody feels strongly, I feel like we've gone through that and we can, yeah. Oh, there it is.
So I was trying to find my unmute. It's just all sort of the background information of
Right.
the 4 recommendations.
Okay.
And then your pricing.
Cost estimates, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a different one than I have.
This is the actual report to council. So taken off of that special meeting agenda.
Okay.
Oh.
With the different resolutions, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've seen that. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh,
Oh, sorry, Ed, go ahead.
There was a estimate for Avening Hall. Is that fairly recent?
I mean,
Does that have to be done again?
I
yeah,
think
well, it's as recent as I think it's within the past year that's been estimated. Yeah, 1.5, yeah, 1.48, yeah.
Well, it's 2022.
Yeah,
Yeah, those are all just rough estimates. The next estimate that comes in will be exact costs.
That's RJ Burnside's estimate.
yeah.
Yeah.
In 2022, they did that estimate sometime. Okay.
It's I mean, until we get the tenders in, really, that's the number that really matters. But that's the estimate at this point, that council's basing their decisions on. So yeah.
Okay. Good.
All right. Okay, so moving on to 4.2, booking agent vacancy. So at this point, we do have We have a community member who's expressed interest in helping us out with the booking vacancy. She has applied to the township under the when the position was open. I think we've talked about her before. It's Bonnie McPherson. I'd like to. I think she'd be great. I've had some conversations with her. She's keen to join. If I could get a mover and a seconder that council approves her, that would be great. Oh, I see lots. I'm going to go with Sarah and Lori.
Everybody.
Yeah, great. And any opposition to that? Seeing none, thank you. We'll consider that carried and move that along to the council table. All right, moving down the agenda, election of hall board positions. Basically at the AGM, the two positions we really need to appoint are chair and treasurer. So the position of chair is would be considered open. So what we'll do for this is I'll look for nominations from the floor, looking for someone to nominate and someone to second. And then we will I'll do 3 calls for the positions, and then if their position is not if there's not a race, so to speak, we'll assume those positions acclaimed and move on with the agenda. So we'll start with chair. Would anybody like to nominate a chair? Karen.
I would nominate Bill Hewitt.
I was
You're a
gonna
seconder.
Yeah, second.
All right. Okay, I saw Tina. Would there be another? Is there anyone else who'd like to nominate for position of chair? That's the second call. I'll do one more call. Any other calls for nominating for position of chair? Seeing none, we will consider me acclaimed as the chair for the Avening Hall Board for another year. Thank you. Moving on to treasurer, would like to now hear calls for nomination for treasurer for the Evening Hall Board. Sarah?
Can I nominate Karen?
Karen, do you accept the nomination? Great. Seconder, Melanie. Okay, we have Karen for treasurer. Is there any other nominations? And one final time, is there any other nominations for treasurer? Okay, I'll close the nominations and we will declare Karen the treasurer of the Evening Hall Board. And moving right along to the financial report. And of course, my PDF's not working. Kayla, would you mind putting the treasurer's report up on the screen?
Yep, just give me 2 seconds.
No problem.
No rush. My report basically consists of, the profit and loss statement from 2021 to date. I've got a couple notes, and then we can also just discuss a draft 2022 budget. Ooh, that's small. There we go. Okay, so a few notes. Here's profit and loss broken down, by quarter. The first thing I'll note is that there's revenue under ticket sales, account 41100, and I've requested that actually be changed. That's actually bar revenue. So that'll just be a journal entry to change that, I believe. The other notable thing here is that, where is it? Solar panel revenue isn't showing up here. So Emmy in the Treasurer's Department has indicated that the 2020 solar panel revenue was received in 2021, but is included in the 2020 financials. So it's going to be the same thing. The 2021 revenue just hasn't been issued yet. So we'll see this in the next couple of weeks. She says that the checks are going to be printed shortly. So it will eventually make its way back into our 2021 profit and loss, showed as a receivable year end. So, I mean, we ended the year in the black miraculously. And then we'll see that improved even more so when we see that solar panel revenue. I feel like I had one other thing I wanted to note. No, I think that was it. Any questions? I do have sort of the detailed breakdown of what is included in each of those individual budget lines. Pretty standard stuff though for us, given the year.
Yeah.
You know,
Kayla, would you mind scrolling down to the expenses past the income? Sorry, thanks.
and then there's this more of like a summary on page 2.
Perfect.
So I don't think there's anything surprising. I mean, it was nice to see the times we were able to be open. We really capitalized on that. Especially those bar sales certainly go a long way in paying the bills. Nothing out of the ordinary really for the year we had. Any questions?
No, I think, thank you so much. That's, I was hopeful when we ran our events in the late fall there that we would be able to help, offset some costs. I think, this year's we probably aren't going to be so lucky, especially if we're closed from the fall onwards for an extended period of time. We're going to have to rely on our fundraising, I think. But yeah, so that's really great that we did so well with the year we had.
Kayla, can I share my screen now? I'll throw up
Sorry,
the.
Ed's got a question.
Oh, sorry. Yep.
Me first. With the heat for October to December, would maybe have got printed properly?
Oh, yeah. Correct. Good call. She hasn't got that reflected in here, so maybe that's still going to be showing up as a receivable. I can check with her.
Coming. Okay, it's still coming. All right.
Yeah. So that'll definitely cut into that solar panel revenue.
Yes.
Well, the solar panel revenue and the heat will probably just cancel each other out approximately.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have extra income and some more expense.
Extra expense. Yeah.
Yeah, good catch. Thanks, Eric. Okay, so I am going to share my screen. I'll just go here. Okay, can you see that okay? That Excel spreadsheet?
Yep.
Oh boy.
Yes.
Okay, so I've just added to last year's. I opted to include the 2019 actuals in as well as 2020s, just because it was a more traditional year. So we got our 2019 actuals, 2020 actuals, 2021 budgeted, which was a very, very lean budget, and then our 2021 actuals. So those are the exact same numbers that you just saw in the profit and loss. Obviously, they will be adjusted as we see some more of those receivables come in. But in terms of a 2022 draft budget, given there's so many unknowns with what to expect this year with renovations, with just the unknowns, I've opted to put together a break-even budget. So there's 4,100 in income and 4,100 in expense. Very similar to what we did in 2021 budget. So, and also based on 2021 actuals. So I've basically haven't accounted for any events, which, you know, that's typically where we would see a lot of our revenues, but also we don't have the event expenses if we don't run the events. So lots of zeros there. I've got a line for donations, regardless of what's going on in the world. We can receive donations, and we hope to receive donations. I've estimated another $2,300 in solar panel revenue. We'll see what this year's check actually looks like. And I can adjust that if need be. The income from our checking account, I've put in at 600. Again, expenses, I haven't put anything in for events.
Yeah.
Minor things for office supplies. I mean, that's stamps to send out checks by and large. An amount for cleaning, some cleaning supplies. Hall repairs, we have $400 in there. And actually, that's not, it doesn't really describe it, but the bulk of that actual this year was like city and country pest control. That's where that falls.
Okay.
So whether open or closed, we're going to want to be taking care of that. And then heat and hydro. And again, I can adjust that as well when we see what the final numbers come in like. But I just thought at least presenting a break-even budget, it's responsible, and we can adjust as we go based on whatever the realities are of the renovations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, it's Karen and I were back and forth on this a little bit, and you know, our crystal balls aren't really working so hot. So it's I think it's kind of anyone's guess. Definitely, you know, we're feeling the obviously feeling the effects of COVID, but then it will be compounded by being the need to be closed to go through the renovation process. So our income that we would normally see is definitely dried up. However, so are a lot of those expenses that would be incurred. And of course, like, you know, we still do have our fundraising committee, and the other thing too is that the township has talked about a contingency fund for operations while and expenses while the renovations are ongoing, if I'm not mistaken, Councillor Lamers. So you know, if the back wall of the hall has been torn off in October, and there's different you know, kind of heating systems that have been installed to make it work, that will be included in the construction costs and covered that way. So
Do we anticipate just running those bills through our accounts as per usual and then reconciling that at the end of the year, you know, based on the dates they were issued and if they overlapped construction? Or should I check with the treasurer's office on that?
I would hope that they're included in the construction costs, not in our normal books, if you will.
Okay. So never going through ours, we just divert the bills right to them? Or
I mean, hopefully, I think that's probably the best answer I can give. Yeah.
I'll inquire to see what that process looks like.
Great.
It doesn't necessarily pertain to this report, but I did want to note, I still haven't pulled the trigger on getting the internet put into the hall. So just waiting until we saw what was going on, right? Should we be addressing that as part of the construction as well? Like, I don't know. I can't imagine that infrastructure is going to play a role in, you know, impacting the internet, but I think I'm just looking for a little bit more guidance of when we want to pursue that further.
I think we can definitely, I think we should definitely address it as part of the tender. But I don't know, so many things are wireless. So, you know, if we do put in a closed network, so that we can have smart locks on the doors, so that we don't need to give out keys to people, and they have a code that only works 12 hours, but rented or whatever. You know, I think that those sorts of things could be potentially installed afterwards as well. I have a couple of questions, a couple of things in my mind that once we get down to the nitty gritty with the with Burnsides that I want addressed as well. For example, a proper floor drained basin in the mechanical room so that we can fill the mop bucket, for example, stuff like that, you know, that's not in the initial drawings, but and that can be something that we maybe just make a note of it, Karen, so we don't forget. Yeah, I think that, but yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, the other thing that too that you know we've talked about with the booking agent was having and it kind of relates to this, is having a 3D tour of the hall. Well, there's not really much sense in going through that right now when, you know, we're looking at changing the hall quite drastically come, you know, less than a year from now. So, you know, that I think that would be, you know, like those sorts of things are gonna come up. And I think in many ways it makes a lot of sense just to kind of wait on those things, right? So, but the internet thing I think should be definitely investigated during the renovation process.
Okay. Okay, sorry. So back then to this draft budget, do we want to approve this budget as it stands right now, or would you feel more comfortable like waiting for more info? Sarah's making a motion.
Please.
I'll make a motion to pass the budget as presented.
Great. And a seconder. Okay. Lots of seconders. Okay, Melanie, we'll go with you. Any further questions to Karen on the budget or anything else? Any further discussion on this before we go to the vote? All right. All in favor? Excellent. That passes. And once again, thank you, Karen, to you for putting that together. Yeah, that's yeah, no mean feat. Okay. I think we've gone through rental and facility update in terms of the AODA. I think there's a lot of I think we do have some questions with some of our you know, with the way we want to go with some things potentially as we move down through the process of renovating, and we're definitely probably going to have to look at our rental fee structure if we wanted to have different rental fees, different rental structures, just a kitchen rental, just a meeting room rental, you know, those sorts of things that we will probably need to address. But I think that's all premature at this point. Unless anybody else feels strongly that we need to have any more discussion on rental or facilities. Okay. New business. In-person meetings are coming back as of Monday, if I'm not mistaken, Kayla.
Looking for mute button. Yes, you're correct.
Well, you won't need to do that as of Monday. So yes, we are. It has been approved by council that we will be back. We will be able to either meet. We could opt to meet on Zoom or in person, but not the hybrid. So I would imagine the board will probably, I think, probably opt to meet as a group together come the next time we meet. So. Is there any further discussion on that, or Councillor Lamers, if you'd like to add anything from the council table?
No, we're meeting hybrid for I think Monday night's meeting, and then the 9th they're talking about in chambers meeting, but all boards are open to meet in person if they would like.
Great. So our next scheduled, if there's no further discussion on that, I'll give that a, oh, Sarah, go ahead.
Corey, I just I should have put this on the agenda. I just wanted to quickly ask the board for some ideas and input. I'm receiving requests from booking agents for bands for the fall, and I know we have a lot up in the air, and it is possible we'll be shut down, but I was wondering if we might want to go ahead and maybe look at some possible event dates in the, you know, just in case the hall isn't ready for construction at that point, with the idea that we would have a plan to go to a backup venue, one of our partner halls, if we aren't able to host it in our own facility. So I just wanted a little bit of guidance or input from the board on how we feel about that. Yeah.
Could be an option to bring in some money.
And also maintain a profile while we've been kind of underground for almost 3 years, both with our members and also with the booking agents. So it's just something it is possible that we would partner with another hall, and Avening wouldn't necessarily get the bar revenue, but we might be able to use it as a sponsorship opportunity, that sort of thing. So I'm just kind of wondering if there is an interest, what the process would be, and people's general thoughts on it.
Yeah, why don't you maybe, Sarah, what you could do is put together some options and a bit of a plan so we can have a bit more concreteness to that. It's like something that we can just look at. Hopefully by the time we have the next meeting, maybe we'll know what the township's plans are for the fall, or for the schedule. If they're not starting till October, maybe we could do a couple of concerts in September, right? But who knows? So
okay, I can bring forward a more concrete proposal. It's just really hard when I see some of the people that are offering to come, and to just refuse them at this point is very difficult.
Yeah, sure. Okay, sounds good. Oh, Ed.
Is August out of the question?
For me personally, August is out of the question. Yeah.
All right.
I kind of that's a make or break right there.
You would have to cook them the band dinner.
We'd have to do a lot more than that. Maybe there's an opportunity to get creative too, Sarah, whether it's Carruthers Park or a venue like that too. I don't know, but
ideas I had were, it was maybe St. John's United Church, so booking bands that would be appropriate for a sit-down venue like that,
right?
Or maybe partnering. We've all been involved with Duntroon, Singhampton, also lovely venues. So my idea would be that we would book them, hoping to be in, or maybe to be in Avening, and if not, I would just have a date set at those locations as well.
Sure. Okay. All right.
There's something else.
Is there anything else before we move to the next meeting?
Could I ask for a motion? I have a recommendation, if you'd like to hear it, to move to in-person meetings in accordance with the Simcoe Muskoka District Health Unit guidelines.
Oh, sure. All right. Is anyone willing to move that?
Sure.
Great. Tina and Melanie, mover seconder. Any further discussion on moving to in-person meetings in accordance with the SMDHU guidelines? Hearing none. Any opposition to that motion? Good. Thank you. Thank you, Kayla. Our next meeting is next regular hall board meeting is scheduled for May 26th. at 7:30. That's the final Thursday in May. I won't be able to be there. I'm going to be really busy through May. I don't think I'll have any free nights, but feel free to carry on in my stead, unless we moved it to mid-June, say the 9th of June. How do people feel about moving that meeting to the 9th of June? And then we'll.
That's fine.
Great. Okay, so we get that changed, Kayla. So next meeting, 9th of June, 7:30 at the hall.
Yay.
There's what?
Sound wave.
Yeah, unless everything goes kind of crazy, but we'll deal with that later. We'll go with the recommendations we are given. All right. Any further discussion before we move to adjourn?
Oh, you always have
Oh,
something.
Ed, please go ahead.
Sarah, how much time do you need for concerts? Like,
I mean,
About 3 hours each.
no, for booking, like for, I don't care.
I mean, it varies. I never like it to take less than 6 weeks, but now is when the agents are looking for October, November bookings.
Okay. All right.
Okay, great. So, motion to adjourn.
Venues.
Melanie, seconded.